And I want to add a little something to the video I did yesterday for the solar eclipse. And the maximum for that solar eclipse was just after 11 p.m., 11 at night here on the east coast of the US. So for people in Europe, it would have been the early morning. For Australia, um, it was it was the afternoon into the evening on the 20th. So yeah, so this eclipse. So I'm making this other one because when I make a video, I don't always usually I don't get things out quite the way I wanted to. I feel like I leave a little something out that's kind of key to the video. So, I went back and I looked and I was like, shit, I wish I'd added a few more things. So what I wanted to add is Rahu is a revealer. So Rahu, the north node of the moon, the dragon's head, is a revealer. Rahu is the trickster. Trickster gods are the masters of secrets. They want to reveal things. Now, how this goes for us depends upon our level of consciousness. So whether we are spiritually attuned, whether we're in tune with our spiritual natures, or if we're just living on the surface of things, we're more superficial, more materialistic, it's going to give different results. So, if you're spiritually tuned in, Rahu's going to reveal things to you and you're going to go, "Oh, wow. Oh, that's wild." Or you're going to go, "Oh, finally." Realistic, you live on the surface of things. It can be really painful when Rahu reveals things because Rahu's a trickster, Rahu is sneaky. But at the end of the day, Rahu wants to catalyze evolution, wants to help evolution go forward by just bringing secrets out into the open. So, Rahu, and here's another thing. Rahu is another, I think Rahu is another name for the force in the universe called Loki, also called Lucifer. Now, a lot of you who follow this channel, you've probably heard me talk about this word Luca. So Luca is this Indo-European, aka Aryan word, Luca, so Lukke. Like so many languages, for such a small word, there are just so many concepts rolled into it. So the imagery associated is a flash of lightning. It's a flash of lightning that starts a forest fire and burns dead wood. Now this imagery of this flash of lightning starting this fire, it's spiritual and intellectual brilliance. And it's what we call in American English, it's what we call aha moments. And we say, "Oh, you get some really," actually I gotta walk into the kitchen here. You get some really crazy information that changes the way you look at things. I'll turn my food down. I'll have mushy vegetables. So it changes your view on things. It just changes your whole world, and you get the information and you say, "Ah." So it's the ah moment. So it's a flash, a bright light, a flash, a bolt of lightning of intellectual and spiritual brilliance. Now, like I said, Rahu is Loki, also Lucifer, coming from this root word Luca. And when you look at so what was it? So Lucifer was the Roman name, whereas Phosphorus is the Greek name. Now, when you look at Roman and Greek mythology, also Indo-European, aka Aryan mythologies, Lucifer and Phosphorus were basically protectors and kind of like a god of the common people, just those of us who get up and go to work every day, and we don't make money when we're sleeping. I should say we don't make shitloads of money while we're sleeping. So this Phosphorus Lucifer is basically the dragon's head. This Naga is symbolic of like the hope of the common 1,000 years, since like Sumer, since we were, or 6,000 years when we were basically, our lives began to be ruled by clocks. Um, people, the leaders have been, trying to basically exploit the people. So there's Lucifer, there's Phosphorus, there's Loki, Rahu. It's the hope of the common people. It's the hopeful things in the future. And when you really look at Rahu, Loki, Lucifer, it's not about hoping for leaders bringing you and just giving you better circumstances, but it's about your ability to create better circumstances for yourself and maybe your loved ones in your own life. Or even if you are able to help and affect large groups of people, you're offering a perspective, you're offering an innovation. You're not forcing people to do things your way because it's enlightened. So yeah. So Rahu, Loki, Lucifer, Luca, Phosphorus, that is the node of the moon that cast shadow on this, well, that created the shadow of this eclipse. So solar eclipses are always new moons. They're conjunctions of the sun and the moon. And so basically the moon goes between the sun and the earth, and that shadow appears. So the way we look, the nodes of the moon, Rahu, Ketu, North Node, South Node, Dragon's Head, Dragon's Tail. They are what the nodes are. They are the point where the moon crosses the ecliptic. So with Rahu at the North Node, it's where the moon crosses the ecliptic, moving northward. When it's a Ketu, when it's a south, it's when it's moving southward. So it's the little connection problem. So these nodes, they're almost seen as the shadow on the moon or on the sun. Now, observatories in India in recent years, when observing eclipses, they've actually, and I don't know anything about astronomy. I don't know how they do this, but scientists in India have reported that during eclipses they have evidence that something like a substance basically appears and blocks the light of the sun and the moon. So it's like the shadow has a substance. These shadows that we call Rahu, Ketu, Dragon's Head, Dragon's Tail, North Node, South Node. It's not just a shadow, but it's almost like a substance. It's like in Ghostbusters. It's like an ectoplasm. It's really crazy. That could be video worthy someday. But the way you might look at it is, they might be sort of like higher dimensional planets that, in an altered state of consciousness. Maybe you can see them. I don't know. Wouldn't shock me. So anyway, this was a Rahu driven eclipse. So again, Rahu, it brings new things in, but Rahu wants to show us the truth. Rahu is kind of like Rorschach in Watchmen that just wants people to see the truth. Rahu is also like the Dark Knight. In the mythology, he's the only avatar of Vishnu who is not a deva, who's not a celestial god. He's actually he's one of the terrestrials. But still, as an avatar of Vishnu, Raha, who is actually the divine boar, Varaha, he saved the world from basically drowning in its own emotions, and being overwhelmed. So a way to look at Rahu is he's basically the Dark Knight, like in a Batman movie. So in the Dark Knight, Batman saves the city from being, literally destroyed, and then the people of Gotham go, oh, that Batman is such an asshole. So like that's Rahu. And that's Loki in the Norse mythology is like the gods, the celestials the Aesir, they can get so stagnant and so self-righteous and so stuck. And Loki comes in and shakes the whole thing up and actually like gets the growth and the evolution going again. And they all go, "Oh, that Loki's such an asshole." And then in one of the stories, the fleeting of Loki, the flitting of Loki. It's basically in a banquet, Loki roasts the Aesir, the celestial gods, and then the Vanir twins, Frey and Freya, and they all get pissed, and they get angry, and the whole company of the gods gets angry. And what is it? I think the mythology says they howled and what was it? They howled and shook their spears, and Loki was chased out of the banquet hall. So this is always happening. So let's get more down to the point here. It's a day of tangents. And that's the thing with eclipses is you get this momentary disconnect from, especially a solar one from your soul. On a lunar, you get this disconnect from your mind. Mercury was in the same house as this solar eclipse. So there's a disconnect from the intellect. So I'm kind of rambling and off on tangents. So I apologize. Um, but Rahu being involved in this, he wants to share with us all these secrets about leadership in the world because Aries is leadership. Aries is the head. It's thinking, as I mentioned, but it's also leadership. So we're going to see more and more information, more and more things come out about our so-called leaders in the world that they don't want people seeing. So that's something to look forward to, and then Mercury, which is involved in this, is media, is mass media, communication, and then Uranus, which is also in here, 2 degrees from Mercury. Uranus is a higher order of Mercury. Also deals with communications in that it deals with technologies, electronics. Uranus deals with the air, so the airwaves. Um, so yeah, this is exciting shit, So more and more is going to come out about what the globalist leadership have been up to, and they're going to look even more ridiculous and more incompetent and more corrupt. But some people will choose not to acknowledge this, and those people have the hardest time. So another thing with eclipses is they're basically in effect and their energy lingers until the next solar eclipse. So they happen every 6 months. So until October, we're going to be living under the energy of this eclipse, which happened, April 19th to the 20th, depending where you are in the world. So yeah, pretty interesting. But yeah, Rahu is a whistleblower. Rahu has access to the secrets and he wants the whole world to know. So yeah, pretty neat. And Mercury being involved in that eclipse, its home signs are Gemini and Virgo. Mars is in Gemini, so Gemini is mass media and communication. So Mars being there, Mars is warrior energy. It's volatile, it's violent, but Mars is a surgeon. Mars is a detective. So the media is going to be digging through things. And, the media has been very helpful to the globalist leadership, but the media, mass corporate media knows that the people on this planet are slowly waking up and that they know that so much of the news has been fake. And they don't want the people to stop watching their news or reading their news. So they're running stories just to keep their market share. And so pretty interesting, and the last thing I'll leave you with here, which, I mentioned in the last video, but 5 degrees of Aries sidereal is where the solar eclipse happened. 5 degrees Aries is where the fixed star Alrisha is. Alrisha, again, it's the well rope. So it's the well, it's the rope that you put down into the well with the bucket to get water. So, in American English, we have these expressions. We say, throw me a line. So a line, it's like saying throw me a rope or throw me a bone. So what these expressions mean is like you're talking to somebody who has more information than you, but you feel confused and you want more information. So you say to a person that has more information than you say throw me a line, you say throw me a bone. So the star, this well rope, it's this rope where you lower the bucket into the well to get water. And it deals with like what we call the crux of a matter. So the crux of a matter, it's a piece of information in a situation that ties it all together and gives it very profound meaning, gives it a lot of meaning. So having an eclipse here, we're going to get information that helps us to understand everything going on in the world right now. All right, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.